as you guys can tell, it's a pretty bad interior. So I'll take you through the process of as much as I was able to record on what I did. Now, if you're looking to start your own detailing business or you want to know the tools and products that we use, check the description box down below. So as you can see from the beginning of the video, there is just so much crap in the interior. From empty bottles of Monster to water bottles to fries to food to toys. I mean, the first major part is just removing the big items out of the vehicle. So for the next, in reality, like it was probably like 10 minutes that we were just taking everything out of the interior. Now I will say, once you get past that part of taking out all that, just the loose item that shouldn't be there in the first place, the vehicle does look 10 times better just by that part alone.
There's gonna be a big transformation.
I would think so.
The other one's back there. I don't want to do clean. We find shoes.
Anything broken we find, we actually repair.
Yeah, so this is all. We can all throw that in. Throw that in there as well. You wanna eat it? She should throw away the toys too.
Bro?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep some then. Oh, for real.
I'll keep it, yeah. So she should throw them away.
Yeah, whichever one worth keeping. You think this one's worth keeping? I can give it to Marco when he comes in.
Now, as a disclaimer, because I was trying to record a lot of this detail, I was holding the camera a lot. If we used a bigger bag and both of us were just working without using this camera, we'd probably be able to finish this whole little cleanup part in like 5 minutes. So it doesn't actually take that long from what you're actually seeing. I just wanted to capture a lot of it. So just a heads up on that part, as this shouldn't really take you that long.
This water's still good. Not ill. So I get a lot of questions about like what do you do with the coins? Like this one, because like you can clearly tell they're still nice and clean. I'll just put them in my van and then give them back to her at the end of the. I'll just put them back in the vehicle once we're done. But when the coins are like completely covered in just like pure gunk and nastiness, like I'm not even gonna give it back to them or keep them just because they're so ugly. Like, yeah, you could go and clean them, but man, it's like, you know, collecting so many coins for like $2 is just not worth anyone's time with that. So these, they're clean. Like this one, see this one right here? A lot of times I'll get coins that they're all like this. Let's see if we can get that. And it just doesn't make sense to like try to keep them when they're just completely filthy. So these are pretty much clean, so I'll just put them aside and put them back in their vehicle when I'm done. Some delicious food. here. And here I cleaned a little bit more of the center console. So they just had a bunch of personal stuff here. Not really personal, just a few like more cash. I didn't open up these papers just because I'm not gonna go through the personal items like that. So just because I'm not gonna open it, but it was in here, I'm gonna just set it as personal use and then put it in a personal bag, because that's just not my job to, you know, decipher what's personal, what's not. So anything that just isn't straight up trash that I can tell from the very beginning, I will just set it as personal. And there you go. I've taken all the coins that were down here and I put them in here, which we'll take out so we can clean that section as well. That's all personal stuff, Anthony. Then that's more of the true condition as we just remove the loose items. So just from removing all the loose items, here's where we're at.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the vacuuming phase. With this much gunk in on the carpets, it would be very, very helpful if I had a bigger vacuum with more power, but that's just not the case. I use the Metro Vac and Blow, which is a very compact, small, not that strong, or not that strong compared to other shop vacs on the market. But, I'm using what I have and still got great results. But typically, yes, if you had a bigger vacuum for this type of job, it's much more ideal because there's just so much crap you have to vacuum out. With this one, it takes a little longer, it takes a little bit more effort, but you can still get the job done. So don't think if you have a smaller vacuum, you can't get it done. Of course, if you have like a little battery powered vacuum, that's probably not going to be ideal, but just want to let you know that. So as Anthony is working on the interior extracting, I move on to the floor mats. Now to begin, I'm just going to start by brushing off the kind of stuck on dirt that's on there to make the next steps easier. And this is the next step where I'm going to use the lily brush to pat or to brush down any of the pet hair that remains on the floor mat. It wasn't much, but as you can tell right now, there is a noticeable amount of hair being accumulated once you do the brushing. So after this, and I do it on all the floor mats, we're going to move to the agitation and extraction.
This don't feel right to you, right?
Here's how all the floor mats look just after the brushing and removing the pet hair. And these are all the bags that we got just cleaning out the mess from the interior. So about 4 or 5 bags were just filled with old crap. Now we're gonna move on to the actual agitation parts, and I'm using the IK foam, not foam, the IK pump sprayer, not the foam, just a regular pump sprayer, with Super Clean as a solution diluted 10-to-1. And I'm going to use the Griot's Garage 6-inch polisher with a carpet attachment. You'll be able to find all these links in the description box down below. Now when it comes to cleaning the floor mats, I do saturate the floor mat quite a bit because I do want to penetrate as deep as I can with the cleaner and the brush to make sure I'm lifting up all that dirt from the bottom of the fibers to the very top, so then that way when we're extracting, it's that much easier as well. And as you can tell, there's some really caked on areas, like some real dried caked on areas on that floor mat, which it got a bit better, but you know, depending on what it was, how long it was there, which is crazy because it's a 2017 vehicle, but it's really taking its toll with the condition.
No, I mean the corners couldn't come off, but yeah, it was bad.
This extractor that we're using is the Aqua Pro Vac extractor. It's not heated, so the water isn't hot. You just put whatever water you want in the tank. If you want to put warm water, you can do that. I just always go with regular hose water and don't worry about heating it up. The tank is, I forget the exact size of the tank right now, but we did finish the floor mats and the seats with only having to refill it once. And when we did refill it, we only had to use half the tank of water. I forget the specs, I'm sorry, but it does, you know, depending on how the size of the vehicle that you're cleaning, the condition of it, that's going to be dependent on how long it lasts. But I'll say, to me, it hasn't been a big deal. Like, we don't run out of it too much where it's become a problem. So far, from our experience, it's been working out well. And throughout the process of cleaning the floor mats and the seats, the amount, we only fill up the pump sprayer, I think just twice. And it's, I believe, 35 ounces. So we only use about 70, 60-ish, 50-ish ounces of solution for all 5 seats and the floor mats, which is pretty good. So Anthony started off by doing the front 2 seats. Now we moved to the rear seats, and that's why now we're just doing that part. Now it does look like I'm saturating the seats a lot, which you are right. It is a lot of solution. There's 2 main things I want you to keep in mind. One, that type of material, that type of cloth, it does require more saturation to clean properly. If you don't put down enough solution, you're essentially just dry agitating it, and you're not gonna really get as of a thorough of a cleaning when it's just essentially when the seat's still dry. So the more solution, the more lubrication essentially, the easier it is to really agitate the entire seat. The second part that you want to keep in mind is that every seat that I clean, I might use a different amount of cleaner. So in this one, if I say, okay, you know what, I probably did put a bit much, I'll put less on this one. Or you know what, the seat I just cleaned, it could probably use a little bit more solution, so I'll put more down on the next seat. So I'm always adjusting how much or how little I need to put down as I go along. So one might be a lot, one might not be that much, one might be right in the middle. It just depends.
Amongst everything else. Huh?
You know the song Section Candy?
No. Alright, Judith. You are...
So I'm sure by now you guys are tired of watching me agitate a seat. So I'm just going to go ahead and 4x the video right now to speed it up.
Yeah?
Huh? That's what you're saying it smells like?
What? Yeah.
Oh.
It's part of the monsters.
That's
That's what it is, right?
Yeah. Like it's that and like cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's, Does that look like spelling?
Yeah, that's not a thing.
And now let's move on to the door panels. I actually posted a video on this the other day where I'm just using 3 brushes. The Detail Buddy brush, a bristle brush, and then a super clean with a towel, and I'm able to get all the door panels finished with just those basic tools in under 10 minutes or so. Typically, I do not care about the suds just because the weather, it wasn't warm at all. It was a bit cold, so it wasn't drying out at all. And because I sprayed into the brush, it is really lathered up really well. But typically, I don't really care about the suds. I know a lot of people post those types of videos on YouTube, but it's just not really necessary for cleaning. But I do want to point out where, you don't need that many tools and products to just clean your interior. Right there, I'm just using 4 products or tools, and I can do just about 80% of the vehicle. Granted, it's going to take me a lot longer, but you can still get it done with such basic tools and products. And that applies to you if you want to start your business. You guys think that you need to buy this pressure washer, generator, you need to get your t-shirts, you need to get business cards. Look, just get a few tools and products, go to your friends and family, say, hey, pay me $60 and I'm gonna clean your interior, and do it. So it's a great way to start. You don't need to overkill. And something like this part, I'm gonna use a brush, but realistically, you could just go straight with a towel. Like, you can bypass this part, you'll still get the same results. It's gonna be faster, but you could literally just wipe it down with a towel. And these next few parts are me just getting more of the detailed areas of the rails, the belt buckles, and such. And I'm still going to be using the same 3 tools. Now, make sure that you do clean off the brushes when you switch areas of cleaning. So if you clean the door panels, clean out the brush, and then move on to the next part. Not that it's completely necessary, I should say, but just to make sure like you're not just completely filling up those brushes with pure gunk every single time. Just clean it off real quick before you move on to that next segment of whatever you're gonna clean.
Uh, nah, we gotta get him. Damn it. Well, we didn't look. We didn't open this. Classic example of why you need to open everything up. We just opened this for the first time and boom, there's a bunch of mess. So now we gotta do everything on this little holder thingy bobber.
Now, there's a few lessons that I want to share with you guys that's going to really help you out. So, I actually don't have any afters shots of this detail because when I set up this detail with this customer, I actually completely forgot to communicate with her how long this vehicle was going to take. So, in her mind, she thought it was going to take at max 2 hours and she had to leave at a certain time. So, when she told us that, we were still around an hour and a half more to go before we were done, not including that the seats were still wet. So in the next about 30 minutes, which is, like it's sped up for time's sake, but over the next 30 minutes, we work very fast to try to really hurry up and finish whatever we need to finish up. Now, typically, if it wasn't for the camera and we were just working normally, we could finish this vehicle in under 2.5 hours, no problem whatsoever. But because the vehicle was so trashed, because I wanted to record a lot of it, that ate up a lot of time. So generally, 2.5 hours would be done with this vehicle. The seats would be dry, no problem. So when it comes to your customers, make sure you're always communicating how long it's gonna take. That way, you and the customer can plan accordingly to make sure that the detail gets finished in a timely manner, and you know when your deadline is. And something else that's very important that I'd like to share with you is the Parkinson's Law. Now, the definition of the Parkinson's Law is down here in the bottom where it says Parkinson's Law is the adage that work expands as to fill the time available for its completion. Now, you don't need to read everything else, but just that. Work expands as to fill the time available for its completion. Now, this directly correlates to the detail and what you're looking at right now. Because once the customer told us that she needed to leave within 30 minutes, we pretty much crammed an hour worth of work into about 20 minutes because we didn't take the whole 30 minutes to clean because we still have to allocate time for cleanup and moving out the way. So in about 20 minutes, we finished about an hour's worth of work. So just think that. We normally would take 1 hour to complete what we did in 20 minutes. So if you have the mindset of saying, if you give yourself an artificial deadline with certain areas of the vehicle, you're going to be able to work faster and still meet the deadline because you think you need to finish the vehicle at a specific time. So this is a great way to, if you think you're slow, if you keep on missing your deadlines, put an artificial time of a deadline on this detail. If you told the customer it's going to take 5 hours, so you have all the way to whatever, 2 o'clock, whatever time you start, then in your head say, this customer has to leave by 12 o'clock. So even though I have till 2, I'm going to work really hard to see if I can get it done by 12 o'clock. Even if you miss it, even if you skip over some areas, at least by 12 o'clock you'll say, man, look how far I've got. Now let me go over those areas that I missed because I still have plenty of time. But now I finished it way before my time that I said I was gonna finish. So now I can look over it, inspect it, and touch up any areas that I need. So the Parkinson's law is very true because the more time you have to complete something, the longer it's gonna take you to complete. How many times have you done it where you had a project due for school, a report for work that you have to turn in, and you had maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe several days, but it wasn't until that last day you had that urgency build up, saying I have this deadline, I have to meet it, no matter if I have to pull an all nighter, work 4 extra hours, work on my break, I'm gonna get it done, and you do. So it's the same thing with this. Like, put some artificial time in your head saying, okay, the detail is scheduled from 9 to 2, but let's say 9 to 12, and let's see if we can get it done. Because I can guarantee you can, or at least you can get very close to getting it done within that shorter time frame. And unfortunately, we don't have any afters. Like I've said, we didn't relay the time that it was going to take us to complete. So we were in a rush. This is the last footage I have. Now, the crazy thing is, she actually contacted me again saying, hey, can you come perform that same service because the car is bad again? And this was literally, like, it's not even been a month and a half between the two services. So, again, I have another chance to get some good recordings on this vehicle. So, hopefully, I'll do a better job then. It's 30 minutes into the video. If you're still watching this, you're like 30% of the people that actually stay all the way to the end. So I appreciate you watching. If you need the tools, products, resources, want to start your own business, check the description box down below for all those resources and guides. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one where hopefully I do a better job actually filming everything.